You're watching Daily Plain Toast. Without a doubt, The Karate Kid is a 1984 classic that has a lot of diehard fans. And jumping into conclusion that because those who have been loving Karate Kid films for 30 plus years now know more about the characters than we do, they were asking how the new sequel series ties to the original films. Newer generations, on the other hand, have little or no idea at all as to what Karate Kid is all about. Well, here are just a few things to know about Karate Kid before binging on the Cobra Kai series on YouTube Red. And please be warned that this episode has some spoilers to the series, which means you have a choice if you still want to continue watching this or not. Let's go. Meet Daniel Larusso, played by actor Ralph Macchio, is the main protagonist of the first three Karate Kid movies in the American martial arts drama franchise. In the first movie, Daniel was portrayed as a teenage kid who lives with his mom and moving from New Jersey to Los Angeles. He tried hard to fit in his new environment, even meeting Allie Mills, his love interest, which also led his collision with Johnny Lawrence and his Cobra Kai crew. A lot of arguments have been going on among those who have seen the first movie as to whether Daniel is the troublemaker or not. But in the story, Mr. Miyagi, Daniel's friend and karate teacher, went to Cobra Kai dojo in an attempt to resolve the conflict between Daniel and his bullies. However, the head of the Cobra Kai refused until Mr. Miyagi suggested that the matter be settled at the All Valley Karate Tournament. And it was because of this that Daniel had to learn the ways of karate as a form of self-defense, which later on earned him the title of All Valley Tournament Champion. And what's a movie about bullying without a bully? Like I said, the topic about who started it first is an ongoing debate, but in the 1984 film, Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka, is a rich kid who likes motorbikes and fancy cars, but most of all known as the meanest and top student of the Cobra Kai dojo, and holds the All Valley Champion title before Daniel took it from him. As the ex-boyfriend of the same chick that Daniel was pursuing, he was adamant about getting his girl back, even if it meant pushing Daniel out of his way to do it. Although proving to be a total jerk at times, like when he and his Cobra Kai friends ran Daniel off the road, sending him rolling down the hillside, then hitting his head hard against a rock and even breaking his bike in the process, or when they chased and cornered and gave Daniel a royal ass whooping. Johnny showed that he's capable of change when he realized that he was taking orders from a maniac he's looked up to all his life, and also accepted his defeat at the end of the tournament. But in the series, you'll see a different version of Johnny Lawrence, and if you're curious to discover about William Zabka's character, or how he became the most hated dude in the first movie before shedding off his old skin, then you must see Cobra Kai. For some, they believe that Karate Kid all started with that girl in the beach, so I guess it's just fair to give her credit for that. Meet Allie Mills Schwarber, who was portrayed by Elizabeth Shue as a sweet, funny, and also belongs to a rich family like her ex Johnny. She was Daniel's main love interest in the first movie. She had instant liking to Daniel and later on falling in love with him, but only to find out in the Karate Kid Part 2 that she would dump him for a football player from UCLA. Well, there's not much I can tell you about her, but she's mentioned in several occasions in the Cobra Kai series. One scene shows how heartbroken Johnny Lawrence was losing her in the first movie and continues to feel the same way in the series. As Master Yoda is to Luke Skywalker, or Professor Charles Xavier is to the X-Men, as Mr. Miyagi is to Daniel LaRusso. Or if you don't know what I'm babbling about, it's enough to say that without Mr. Miyagi, there won't be any Karate Kid. Played by the late Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi is Daniel LaRusso's teacher, friend, and sort of a father figure. When Daniel and his mom moved to LA, Mr. Miyagi was their maintenance man anytime they'd have problems with things around their apartment unit. He's kind of a stern old man in his late 60s who showed that at his age, he's still capable of doing more than just a maintenance guy. He's also a crafty woodworker, a bonsai tree expert, a great karate teacher, and most of all, an excellent life coach. Aside from that, Daniel learned that Mr. Miyagi was a highly decorated war veteran of World War II, whose wife and son both died during childbirth. Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel more than just about bonsai trees, painting fences, sanding wooden floors, or karate. What really leaves a lasting impression about their relationship as master and apprentice are the timeless, relevant life lessons he shared with him as a student and a friend. The bonsai tree. In both Karate Kid movies and the drama series, you'll clearly notice the presence of bonsai plants as part of their stories. Just like how karate promotes self-discipline, the bonsai tree represents balance and harmony. Mr. Miyagi kept reminding his young apprentice to find harmony and balance in everything. You can actually count how many times Mr. Miyagi mentioned the word focus in the movies and understand that he wants Daniel to achieve his goals in life by exerting discipline on a daily basis. Mr. Miyagi's pain suppression technique adds fun to the story. He first demonstrated this when he placed his hands on Daniel's right shoulder after complaining about pain from too much work in his yard. He even asked Mr. Miyagi how he did it. And the second time was when Daniel convinced Mr. Miyagi to use the technique on his left knee to allow him to finish the tournament. It's something that fans anticipated seeing again in the Cobra Kai series. Since the late Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel a lot of things, it would be awesome if he passed on his knowledge to suppress pain with just his hands. The Cobra symbol. I've always been fascinated with the Cobra Kai logo, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that using a snake to represent their dojo is a really cool idea. When I first saw the Cobra Kai logo, it made a lasting impression that these guys are badass, like warriors who won't back down and will fight to their last breath. I got curious about why some martial arts would use symbols, and then came across articles explaining that this practice supports their methodologies, ideologies, and doctrines, aside from the fact that most martial arts were based on fighting habits of animals and even insects. Why the cobra is a choice of some martial artists, like in this case the Cobra Kai, is because of the snake species' ferocious appearance, especially when it forms its menacing hood flare trademark as it expands the sides of its neck as part of its defensive stance when it's threatened. And we all know that cobras are venomous snakes, but in addition to this, cobras have the ability to stand and strike their prey. In the first movie, Mr. Miyagi delivered a line addressing that there's no such thing as bad students, only bad teachers. And then everyone would later realize that the Cobra Kai instructor's personality would fit perfectly in that bad teacher picture. Meet Sensei John Kreese. Played by American actor Martin Kove, John Kreese is a Vietnam War veteran who's also a karate champion and is a founder of the Way of the Cobra Kai. In the movie, you'll sense that John Kreese is serious when it comes to teaching his Cobra Kai principles to his students and lets everyone know that he doesn't tolerate nonsense manner or foolishness in his dojo. His martial arts philosophy isn't just for competition, because he expected his students to apply them in just about any situation, such as being ruthless and merciless against their enemies, or not allowing defeat to exist in any aspect of their lives. And this is why we see John Kreese becoming extremely disappointed with his students that they didn't win first place in the All Valley tournament. The last time Cobra Kai fans got to see John Kreese was back in 1989 with The Karate Kid Part 3. So if you're asking where he is in the series, you'll encounter scenes where Johnny Lawrence kept mentioning that Kreese died. Or did he really? Did you know that there's a music video dedicated to the Karate Kid series? Yes, there is, and it's an official one that's written and directed by William Zabka, aka Johnny Lawrence himself. Released back in 2007, courtesy of the band No More Kings, this epic music video entitled Sweep the Leg was produced paying tribute to the movie franchise. It featured cameos by Martin Kove, William Zabka, Ralph Macchio, and more. For fans, this may have been an awesome reunion, but what made it even more fun to watch was the final fight between Johnny and the band lead singer Pete Mitchell. They reenacted the final round of the All Valley tournament in the first Karate Kid movie, with Johnny winning first place instead. And there you have it. I think you've learned enough facts to avoid getting lost in the new Cobra Kai story. So what are you waiting for? Get those mouse pointing and clicking on the Cobra Kai episode links on YouTube Red. The first 2 episodes are for free.